Primarily what we were working with was a learning contract. These are gifted and non-gifted 5th and 6th grade students that you're seeing. When you're working with a wide range of abilities, particularly with gifted children who have asynchronous development and oftentimes make intuitive leaps. Well, in those intuitive leaps, sometimes we skip little pieces that at the time aren't significant, but in later development we realize, oops, we needed that. So it becomes really important. I don't want to waste their time. Equally, I don't want to not have provided them with something that they needed. I really encourage my kids to challenge and push themselves out of their comfort zone. That's hard to do sometimes. People assume that gifted kids are risk takers. Not all gifted kids are risk takers. Many of them shy away from that for fear of failure. So one of the things I really encourage them to do is log your time, show me your progress toward goal, and step out of that comfort zone a little bit. Push yourself. For a lot of these kids, they've heard over and over again how smart they are, how bright they are. When that becomes who you are, it's really hard to challenge yourself because fear of failure is debilitating. So if I'm afraid to fail because who am I? Well, I'm the smart kid. I'm the kid who always knows the answers. Well, in a gifted program, my goal is to provide them opportunities where they don't always know the answer. I have to teach them how to struggle. I have to teach them, in some cases, how to persevere through that challenge. I tell my kids, if it's easy, it's really probably not worth learning. In a learning contract, it's a little bit different in that the skills are specifically identified. I have to make sure that my 6th graders have met all the 6th grade objectives. Well, when we did our pre-testing, we discovered, oops, some of you have 1 or 2 of these missing. So that's where they start. And then they contract through those activities and then move on to the 7th, to the 8th, to the 9th grade objectives depending on where they are. I have some kids that had complete mastery of all the 6th grade objectives. We pre-tested the 7th grade. They had mastery of 7th grade. And then they're working on the 8th grade geometry standards. Formative assessment is really a vital part of what we do in making sure that I know exactly where my kids are so that we're not wasting their time and I'm maximizing my teaching time. We do a lot with flexible grouping. The groups change constantly depending on student need. And that's the biggest thing, is understanding that this is not something that you do on a Monday and then we're done. It's a commitment and a process with the kids to make them successful. This type of teaching is a constant adjustment, day to day. What I think they're going to need, they may not need. I also have to know my kids. Because with any type of a study guide or learning contract, you are going to have kids that, I have children who would much rather stay with me. There's comfort in that. So they would sit through every single lesson, whether they needed it or not. So that means I have to push those kids out. No, you don't need to be with me. You need to be working in a challenge area. Equally, I have kids who I will say, you know what? You scored an 85% by the skin of your teeth. You need to come work with me on this particular concept. You need to know your kids. You need to know what they can do. You also need to understand the speed with which gifted children can acquire information. 0 to 1 repetition for many of these kids is all it takes. So where you anticipate, oh, it's going to take 3 days for us to get this, for some of them it took 10 minutes, and now they're ready to go on. They don't need that repetition. It's one of the reasons why I have the kids self-correct their work. It's your assignment. Go check it. If it's right, move on. If they're waiting for me to check everything, we'll never get through what they're capable of. It also allows them that ownership component. I did it. I checked it. Oh, Mrs. Brown, I missed 6 of these. Okay, you don't understand. Let's go back and work through this. I want them to have that. Because gifted kids learn intuitively, they don't necessarily follow the normal steps of what we do. So you'll hear me sometimes in the video say, show me your steps, not show me the steps. Show me how you got to where you are, because that's what's important to me. I want to see their logic and their thinking. It may or may not match the textbook of, okay, you need to do this, because they'll merge things together. And that's fine, but I need them to show me what they're doing.